The storm that whispered the warning. The storm came out of nowhere. Ethan checked the forecast before leaving work. Clear skies, maybe a slight chill, nothing unusual. But now, as he drove along the winding back roads, the world around him turned into a nightmare. Clouds swallowed the moon, plunging the road into an unsettling darkness. Thick sheets of rain hammered the windshield, drowning the sound of his car's wipers. Thunder growled in the distance, deep and unnatural, as if the sky itself were alive and angry. Then the lightning flashed. For a split second, the road ahead was illuminated, and Ethan saw something. Someone standing in the middle of the road. A woman, drenched from head to toe, her soaked dress clinging to her body. Her eyes were wide, vacant, staring directly into his soul. Ethan slammed the brakes. The tires screamed against the slick pavement as the car skidded to a stop just inches from her. His heart pounded in his chest. He blinked, and she was gone, just vanished. Ethan's breath hitched. He swallowed hard and shook his head. Maybe he was imagining things. Lack of sleep, stress, the bad weather, then a loud thump against the back of the car, like something or someone had landed on the trunk. He twisted in his seat, peering through the rain-streaked glass. He saw nothing, but the unease in his chest deepened. Something wasn't right. Something was watching him. The house on Black Hollow Road. The road was endless, stretching far beyond what seemed natural. No signs, no landmarks, just trees and darkness, as if the road itself was leading him somewhere he wasn't meant to go. Then his GPS crackled, the robotic voice sounding distorted, wrong. Recalculating, turn left. Ethan frowned. There was no left turn, just a narrow dirt road leading into the woods, barely wide enough for a car. Another flash of lightning, and in that brief moment he saw it, a house hidden in the trees, old, abandoned, wrong. Its windows were hollow and black, gaping like empty eye sockets. The front door stood slightly ajar, inviting, waiting, then knock, knock. The sound came from his passenger side window. Ethan's blood ran cold. His hands gripped the wheel. He forced himself to turn his head. The woman was back, soaking wet. Her stringy hair clung to her face. Her lips never moved, but the words filled Ethan's head like a whisper carried on the wind. Help me before it comes back. His throat went dry. Who are you? She opened her mouth to answer, then her eyes widened in terror, and she was ripped away, not by the wind, not by anything human. One moment she was there, the next, the darkness had swallowed her whole. Then the footsteps began, slow, heavy, crunching against the frozen ground, not hers, something else, something big. Ethan didn't wait to see what it was. He threw the car into reverse and floored it. The footsteps that followed. He drove for miles, the road stretching longer than it should have. His fingers were numb against the wheel, his breath fogging up the inside of the car. His headlights flickered, struggling against the suffocating darkness. Then his radio turned on by itself. Static. Then a voice, his own voice. Turn left. Ethan's hand shook. The whispering was inside his head now. He looked at the dashboard clock. 3:33 a.m. Hadn't it been 12:17 a.m. just moments ago? 3 hours. Gone. Something was playing with him. A sudden jolt shook the car. The engine sputtered, the dashboard lights flickering wildly. Then, silence. The car died. Outside, the storm had vanished. No wind, no rain, no movement. But the footsteps were still there, right outside his door. Ethan barely breathed. Slowly he turned to look out the window, and there, in the reflection, a face stared back at him. Or rather, the absence of one. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just smooth, pale skin stretched too tightly over its skull, and when it moved, its body twisted in unnatural ways. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, heart hammering. Then the whispering changed. It started to laugh. The truth in the house. The door to the old house creaked open as he stepped inside. He didn't know why he went in. Maybe the thing outside wanted him to. Maybe some part of him was already trapped. Inside, the air was thick, heavy with the scent of burnt wood and decay. Lightning flashed. For a moment, the walls weren't walls. They were covered in faces, dozens of them, stretched, screaming, their mouths open in silent terror. Trapped. Ethan stumbled backward. Then he saw her, the woman from the road, standing in the corner. But now she was whole, no longer drenched, no longer afraid. She whispered one word: "Run." Behind him, the thing entered the house. The door slammed shut. The ending that never came. The next morning, police found Ethan's car abandoned on the road. The driver's side door was wide open, his jacket still in the seat. But Ethan was gone. There were no footprints, no signs of a struggle, just his phone lying in the snow with a single message typed onto the screen: "I came back." The old house. It had burned down 30 years ago. And the woman? She had died in the fire. But every winter, on nights when the storm comes, the whispers return, and someone always disappears.